Hey there, and welcome to another edition of What's Up with City Tranquility. I am your host, Pete Pardo. Today is Tuesday, January the 31st. We're doing double duty today. We just did an episode where we're paying tribute to John Wetton, Butch Trucks, and Jeff Nichols, some of our fallen heroes. But we're going to kind of move on because we're a little overdue to do a new episode of all new material. We haven't seen you guys since, December the 24th with our best of the year, end of year top picks of 2016. So here we are. This is really our first 2017 edition where we're going to talk about some of the new stuff that's coming out. Now, granted, it's been a little slow on the new release side, but that's starting to pick up. So we've got some great stuff today. I've got a few late year holdovers that we're going to cover today, as well as some brand new stuff. And then for our next show, which we're hoping to do next week, we've got some killer new things that have come out that we're going to get to then. So let's hop right into this. So the first thing we're going to talk about today is the return of Swedish progressive metal veterans, Pain of Salvation. In the Passing Light of Day is their new one from Inside Out Records. So, okay, if you're a regular reader of the site, you know that I've been a little tough on these guys the last couple of years. And you know what? Let's face it. When these guys first came out on the scene, Pain of Salvation released some groundbreaking albums that turned the prog metal scene on end, right? I mean, there's 3, 4, 5 albums that are just like the classics. And, you know, we got the impression, at least I did, that the band was kind of losing interest in doing stuff that way. They wanted to kind of jump into more commercial waters, a little more contemporary hard rock and alternative flavors. I get it. I want to do something a little bit different. You know what? But those albums weren't vintage Pain of Salvation. So what do we get? So, you know, this new album, they did a couple albums over the last 3-4 years that were decent. Maybe not great. But let me tell you something. In the Passing Light of Day is indeed great. This is vintage Pain of Salvation. Daniel Gildenlow and company have just kind of taken that kind of time warp back to 10 years ago and hit on all those things we loved about this band back in the day. Quirky, powerful vocals. The amazing blending of light and shade. Heavy to atmospheric, prog rock to metal, pop to folk and jazz. I mean, it's like to electronica. It's all here, folks. The complex arrangements, the fantastic keyboard tapestries, the crunchy guitar work, but it's killer vocals. I mean, that's like the most important part of it. Memorable songs, but they're challenging. There's nothing here on this album from song to song to song to track that is repetitive. It's just every tune is completely different. It's Pain of Salvation, like we remember them at their best. So it's early in the year. This is going to be one of the front runners of the year. Remember I told you that now here on January the 31st. Can't believe it's almost February. From there, okay, so we're going to go. So if we go back in time, almost to a year, last year, I was busy talking to you about a self-titled release from a legendary band on the new wave of British heavy metal scene from the early 80s, whose new album, self-titled album, was going to revitalize their career and would be one of the best releases of 2016, and it was. I'm talking about Diamond Head, right? And it was a killer, one of the best albums they've released in like 20, 25 years, easily, right? So here we are exactly a year later, another mainstay of the new wave of British heavy metal scene from the early 80s, who has also released a self-titled album that is probably the best thing they've done in a million years. I'm talking about the Tygers of Pan Tang. First of all, look at that cool album cover. I hope you don't get any glare there. So we've got one original member, sounds familiar, like on Diamond Head, who's assembled a killer cast of characters who've, a few of them have actually been with the band for a few years now, including the singer, who's amazing. And this is just, and he's got a co-lead guitar player. Rob Weir's got a co-lead guitar player who obviously has studied his John Sykes pretty closely. And there's just some killer tunes on here. Amazing guitar work, catchy, great vocals, anthems left and right. I love hearing this kind of stuff, where these legacy bands who were, big 30, 35, 40 years ago, who come back and kick ass here in the modern age. This is great. Really good. A lot of fun. Like I said, guitar work is off the charts. Excellent. Great vocals. Catchy melodies. Tygers of Pan Tang are back, folks. Tygers of Pan Tang are back. Let's kind of stick on the metal thing, why don't we? Let's move over to a U.S. band from New York, as a matter of fact, called Infinite Spectrum, Haunter of the Dark. They are now on Sensory, which is a division of the Laser's Edge, my good buddy Ken Golden and his wonderful roster of artists. So these guys have been around for a few years, progressive metal band from the New York area. This is a concept album based on a short story from H.P. Lovecraft. Ding, 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 ding. That immediately should tell you something. So, dark, intriguing, lyrical imagery, great mix of vintage prog and modern progressive metal, lots of atmosphere, great melodies, vocals are fantastic, the guitar work and the keyboard work is killer. This is a grower for sure. It's one of those albums, the more you listen to it, the more you like it. And I think Infinite Spectrum is going to be a band we're going to be hearing a lot more about in the world of progressive metal over the next couple of years, if not this year, because this is that good. I dig this a lot. If you like modern progressive metal, you like it with a touch of that kind of gothic horror imagery that only H.P. Lovecraft could help create, and here's a band who takes that story and really delivers it, you need to check this out. Dig it a lot. Good luck with the album, guys. You deserve it. Really good. All right, I'm going to stick on metal. I'm going to go to Germany. Why not? Sacred Steel. Heavy metal. Sacrifice. Cruz del Sur label. These guys mean well. They really do. They've been around for a few years. This is your typical German power metal. Big on, the production is great. The guitar riffs are crispy, crunchy. Lots of solos. Vocals are spot on. It's a formula. If you like this kind of stuff, you'll love. I find the lyrics ridiculously cheesy on this album. I mean, it's so cliche-ridden. It's to the point of ridiculous. I mean, at times I was listening to these songs and I'm like, I can't believe they just went there. In fact, I think I even put that in my review. But in saying that, they rock. Okay? It's a pretty heavy album. It's fun. It's silly. But most power metal fans like that sort of thing. And I can see the appeal here. I can't say that I didn't enjoy this album. For me, it just bordered on the ridiculous at times. But you know what? There's a place for it. Give them kudos for that. So, Sacred Steel, Heavy Metal Sacrifice, Cruz del Sur. If you love power metal, you'll enjoy it, right? So, let's move on. Going to go to Norway, right? A band that we've been following here for a couple of years. This is their third album here on Seeing Tranquility. They're called Fatal Fusion, Total Absence. I dig it. If you like Deep Purple, Uriah Heep, IQ, Marillion, Genesis, so that meeting of like vintage prog rock, symphonic prog rock, and keyboard-driven hard rock proto-metal like Purple and Heap, you'll love this. These guys are so good. I mean, Hammond organ, mellotron, synths, crunchy guitar work, really strong vocals. The tunes are pretty proggy. They're hard rocking in spots, but it's not a hard rock album. It's not really a prog album. It's kind of like a perfect meeting of the two. I love it. Really, really good. Total Absence, Fatal Fusion. This is, again, 3 albums in. All 3 are stellar. Like this one a lot. Another late 2016 release that if you hadn't heard it, go investigate it. If we would have found this a little bit earlier in 2016, would have definitely found its way on my, best of the year list for sure. Okay, now we're going to go from Germany to Italy. Lucid Dream, Otherworldly, another band that's been around for a few years. Okay, these guys are kind of like a melodic hard rock band with some prog tendencies. You hear little bits of Rush, little bits of Fates Warning, little bits of Dream Theater, that sort of thing. Vocalist has the high-pitched thing going, kind of like Jack White from Great White, as well as a little mix of Geddy Lee, a little bit of Europe as well, Joey Tempest. Really strong vocals, crisp guitar work. Like I said, proggy in spots, but not overly so. It's just a good hard rock and melodic metal album that I dig it. The melodies are great. They're catchy. It's a Class A production, too. Nice booklet, good stuff. Another band that's on the rise that hopefully gets heard of a little bit. So from there, we're gonna stick on heavy music. We're gonna go to New York. Band called Tower, self-titled. Female singer. She sings in the upper registers. Okay, the music is kind of like a mix of, I don't know, Motorhead, early Iron Maiden, that kind of like grungy, heavy, punky, new wave of British heavy metal type of thing. It's just a dirty, heavy, fun album, booze-soaked, New York style heavy metal. I dig it. It's fun. It's not perfect. Her vocal, the lead singer's vocals are kind of an acquired taste. She's up there. But it's a fun album. I think, they've got the potential to go place. I think a lot of people really dig this. So, check it out. Tower from New York. All right, we're done with the metal. We're going to go kind of slide back to progressive rock, jazz fusion. Here's a guy. He's on the Moon June Records roster. Leonardo and company have really done a great job of going to places like Indonesia and finding some of the best jazz fusion and prog artists that nobody's ever heard of, bring them here to North America. Here's another guy who has he's had a bunch of releases out on the label, either as a solo artist or a member of a band. This is his other band, okay, called the Tohpati Ethnomission. It's called Matahati. This is guitar player Tohpati. Fantastic. Fantastic. This came out like in the first 2 weeks of 2017. If you love vintage and modern jazz fusion with killer melodies, wonderful guitar work, keyboard work, rhythms are off the charts, but the songs are so addicting, so melodic, so memorable, and the instrumental work, brilliance. You need to check this out. I mean, it just, I don't know what's going on over there in Indonesia, but Leonardo's found a lot of great musicians and acts over there in recent years, and there's just something happening over there that's worth everybody's attention. So if you like Mahavishnu Orchestra, Return to Forever, Weather Report, Lifetime, Brand X, the kind of stuff I'm talking about. Seek Mr. Tohpati out. Check out his Ethnomission band. Well worth your time. Tribal Tech from Scott Henderson, another band, kind of similar to this. Just fantastic stuff. So melodic, but just mind-blowing from an instrumental standpoint. So from there, we're going to go to U.S. space rock veterans, Quark Space. Been around for a long time. They're kind of quiet right now, on hiatus. Well, they're kind of the mastermind behind that band, Paul Williams. He's put out a band in recent years called Church of Hed, right? And he's got a brand new album out. Sorry, I need to put on the glasses for this because I just can't see. Brandenburg Heights is the name of the album. Sorry, folks. And that's this right here. This is very cool. Very, very cool. If you are a vintage synth and analog keyboard lover, and if you have a soft spot for Hawkwind and early Pink Floyd, that sort of thing, maybe a little Tangerine Dream, wow, you got to check this out. keyboards galore. It's all instrumental. It's basically two long title track. It's a long title track split into two, like 40 minutes long. Holy synth and mellotron and Hammond organ and electric piano galore. I love it. Love it, love it, love it. Dim the lights down, turn your lava lamp up, and pour yourself a glass of your favorite doohickey and enjoy the hell out of this. It's just really, really good. Paul, you've hit a home run with this one, my friend. Very, very good. Very good. Check that out. Church of Hed. So, last new release for the day. We've ran through a lot of stuff today. This is an album. Sorry, I get into the glasses again. By a long-time acoustic guitar sensation named Gordon Giltrap and his good buddy Paul Ward on keyboards. The album is called The Last of England. It's on the Angel Air Records roster, our good friends over at Angel Air in the UK. This is another wonderful album. All instrumental for the most part. Basically just Gordon's incredible acoustic guitar textures and melodies with Paul Ward's keyboards, quite progressive rock style keyboards, I might add, floating about in the back. Really good stuff. Wonderful album. Killer guitar work. Doesn't get much better than this. One of the unsung heroes on the acoustic and classical jazz and prog and folk guitar scene for many, many years. I dig this a lot. Pretty cool cover art in there too. So check that out. If you love kind of folky, jazzy, proggy, classical acoustic guitar work with some prog keyboards going on in the background, can't beat that. So we are at the end of our show. Last segment of the day, of course, is called Forgotten Favorites. And today we're going to look at, I've actually got two albums by this band. Okay, so here's a little bit of a departure. Normally these Forgotten Favorites segments are stuff that I've been listening to for a million years that's really near and dear to me, that just kind of always fell under the radar. Today is something that kind of fell under the radar for me that I've never discovered till recently. And I'm just wondering how this band has stayed undiscovered to the masses. And it's a underground U.S. heavy rock, proto-metal, blues rock, blues metal, I don't even know what you call them, band from the U.S. who have been around since the early mid-'70s, undiscovered by most, who are still around today, that we're just starting to see a lot of their recordings that they had done throughout the 70s and the 80s and beyond see the light of day in recent years. I am talking about the JPT Scare Band, okay, a trio, guitar, bass, and drums, who I picked up these two albums in recent months. One is called Past is Prologue. The other is called Sleeping Sickness. These are made up of recordings, like I said, throughout the 70s and the 80s. And you can totally tell it came from that time period. We're talking about long tunes, lots of jamming, sick guitar work. Kind of like Hendrix meets Marino, meets Trower, meets Montrose, wah-wah and distortion and fuzz. Leslie West meets Univibe, all this kind of cool stuff. Bluesy, heavy, metallic, grooves, jamming. Again, this is one of those discoveries, like, how the hell did I miss this band all these years? Well, probably because this shit was not available anywhere until recently. So, God bless these folks who have put this stuff out on CD, because this is, they have more releases than this. But, and the guitar work is off the charts. I love that style of guitar playing, that kind of bluesy, heavy, early proto-metal, heavy rock, mid, late 70s type of thing, dripping with feedback and distortion and fuzz and wah-wah and Univibe and all that delay and all that kind of good stuff. There's loads of that here. So if you're into that kind of stuff, if you love those undiscovered, kind of underground heavy bands of the 70s and the 80s, JPT Scare Band, go research them. They're on YouTube. They're on Wikipedia. You can buy these on Amazon or on Discogs. Highly recommend checking them out. So with that, man, I've been talking a lot today. So hope you enjoyed all this new stuff, new and sort of new from recent late 2016. Starting next week, hopefully next week, we've got all 2017 stuff going forward because there's some great stuff that just coming out next week that I'm dying to talk to you about. So we're going to jump right into that, including the latest from Creator and Sepultura. You heard it here first, folks. That's what's coming up next on our next show. So till then, check out all this great new stuff. Don't forget the classics. Go even deeper into the classics and investigate all the underground stuff. But be safe. We'll see you next time here on What's Hot with Sea Tranquility. I'm your host, Pete Pardo. Don't forget to check us out on the web at www.seatranquility.org. Facebook, Twitter, YouTube. We're all over the place, and we're going to continue to do so till we take over the world. See you next time. Have a good one.